Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanasya Yamunatira Vanasya Yamunatira Yamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari 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 Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivarada Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Prajajana Ranjana Yamunatira Vanasya Yamunatira Vanasya Yamunatira Vanasya Yamunatira Vanasya Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Srimad Bhagavatam Jai. Which verse is up there now?
17.
Okay. Tatapi Vadato Bhuman Karishyami Anushāsanam Etad Shreya Param Pumsam Yat Tavagyanu Palanam Tatapi Vadato Bhuman Karishyami Anushāsanam Etashreya Param Pumsam Yattavagyanu Palanam Tatapi Vadato Bhuman Karishyami Anushāsanam Etashreya Param Pumsam Yattavagyanu Palanam
Tatapi Vadato Bhuman Karishyami Anushāsanam Etashreya Param Pumsam Yattavagyanu Palanam Tatapi Vadato Bhuman Karishyami Anushāsanam Etashreya
Etat Shreya Param Pumsam Yatavagyanam Palanam Tatapi Vadato Bhumam Karishyami Anushashanam Etat Shreya Param Pumsam Yatavagyanam Palanam
Tatapi, although there was no fault on the part of Bali Maharaj, Vadata, because of your order, Bhuman, O Supreme, Karishyami, I must execute Anushasanam, because of your order. Etat, this is Shreya, that which is the most auspicious. Param, supreme. Pumsam, of all persons. Yat, because. Tava agya anupalanam, to obey your order. Translation. Lord Vishnu, I must nonetheless act in obedience to your order, because obeying your order is the most auspicious and the first duty of everyone. So there's no purport for a few more verses. Shishukuvacha pratinanja harer agyam Ushana bhagavaniti yagyat chidam samadata baler viprar shivi saha. Sukadeva Goswami continued, in this way the most powerful Shukracharya accepted the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead with full respect. Along with the best brahmanas, he began to compensate for the discrepancies in the sacrifices performed by Bali Maharaj. Evam baler mahim rajan vikshitva vamano hari dado bhartre mahendraya chidivan yat parayaritam. O King Parikshit, thus having taken all the land of Bali Maharaj by begging, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vamandev, delivered it to his brother Indra, all the land taken away by Indra's enemy. Prajapati Pitir Brahma Devarshi Pitri Bhumi Pai Daksha Vrigvam Giro Mukhyai Kumarena Bhavena Cha Kasyapasyadite Prityai Sarvabhuta Bhavaya Cha Lokanam Lokapalanam Akarod Vamanam Patim. Lord Brahma, the master of Daksha and all other Prajapatis, accompanied by all the demigods, the great saintly persons, the inhabitants of Pitriloka, the Manus, the Munis, and such leaders as Daksha, Bhrigu, and Angira, as well as Kartikeya and Lord Shiva, accepted Lord Vamandev as the protector of everyone. He did this for the pleasure of Kashyapa Muni and his wife Aditi, and for the welfare of all the inhabitants of the universe, including their various leaders. Vedanam Sarvadevanam Dharmasya Yashashakshya Mangalanam Vritanam Cha Kalpam Swarga Pravargayo Upendram Kalpayam Chakre Patim Sarva Vibhutaye Tada Sarvani Bhutani Brisham Mumutire Nripa. O King Parikshit, Indra was considered the king of all the universe, but the demigods headed by Lord Brahma wanted Upendra, Lord Vamandev, as the protector of the Vedas, the principles of religion, fame, opulence, auspiciousness, vows, elevation to the higher planetary systems, and liberation. Thus they accepted Upendra, Lord Vamandev, as the supreme master of everything. This decision made all the living entities extremely happy. It's quite a long stretch here. Tatas Twindra Puraskritya Deva Yanena Vamanam Lokapalar Divam Ninye Brahmana Chanumodita. Thereafter, with all the leaders of the heavenly planets, Indra, the king of heaven, placed Lord Vamandev before him, and with the approval of Lord Brahma, brought him to the heavenly planet in a celestial airplane. Prapya Tri Bhuvanam Chandra Upendra Bhujapalita Shriya Paramaya Justo Mumude Gatasadvasa. Indra, the king of heaven, being protected by the arms of Vamandev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thus regained his rule of the three worlds and was reinstated in his own position, supremely opulent, fearless, and fully satisfied. Brahma Sarva Kumaras Cha Brigvyadya Munayo Nipa Pitara Sarva Bhutani Siddha Vaimani Kaschaye Samuhat Karma Tad Vishnur Gayanta Param Adbhutam Dishyani Swani Tejagmur Aditam Cha Sashasmire. Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Kartikeya, the great sage Bhrigu, other saintly persons, the inhabitants of Pitriloka and other living entities present, including the inhabitants of Siddhaloka and living entities who traveled in outer space by airplane, all glorified the uncommon activities of Lord Vamandev. O King, while chanting about and glorifying the Lord, they returned to their respective heavenly planets. They also praised the position of Aditi. Aditi is the mother of Vamandev. She's the mother of all the demigods. So when Indra was in trouble, she prayed, and then Vamandev came along. Sarva etan mayakyatam bhavatap laila nandana uru kramasya charitam shotrinam agamochanam. O Maharaj Bricket, pleasure of your dynasty, I have now described to you everything about the wonderful activities of the Supreme Lord Vamandev. Those who hear about this are certainly freed from all the results of sinful activities. That's a nice promise. Just some misunderstand that and think that they can go on sinning and it won't have any effect, but it means the previous sinful activities, and then one gives them up, and then the effect of the previous sinful activities is nullified. Paramihimna uru vikramato grano yat partivani vimane sa rajamsi marcha kim jayamana uttajata upaiti marcha etyaha mantra drigrishi purushasya yasya. One who is subject to death cannot measure the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Trivikram, Lord Vishnu, any more than he can count the number of atoms on the entire planet Earth. No one, however, whether born already or destined to take birth, is able to do this. This has been sung by the great sage Vasishtha. This one has a purport. Generally, we don't try to comment too much if there's no purport, since the previous acharyas didn't comment. It's just some things are just clear, or it's just a narration, to fill in purport. Vasishtha Muni was given a mantra about Lord Vishnu. Nate Vishnur Jayamano na Jato Mahimna Paramahimna Abha. No one can estimate the extent of the uncommonly glorious activities of Lord Vishnu. Unfortunately, there are so-called scientists who are subject to death at every moment, but are trying to understand it by speculation, the wonderful creation of the cosmos. This is a foolish attempt. Long, long ago, Vashishta Muni said that no one in the past could measure the glories of the Lord, and no one can do so in the future. One must simply be satisfied with seeing the glorious activities of the Supreme Lord's creation. The Lord therefore says in Bhagavad Gita 10:42, Vishtavyam idam krishnam ekam senas tito jagat. With a single fragment of myself, I pervade and support this entire universe. The material world consists of innumerable universes, each one full of innumerable planets, which are all considered to be products of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's material energy. Yet this is only 1/4 of God's creation. The other 3/4 of creation constitute the spiritual world. Among the innumerable planets in only one universe, the so-called scientists cannot understand even the moon and Mars, but they try to defy the creation of the Supreme Lord and his uncommon energy. Such men have been described as crazy. Nunam Brahmatak Gurute Vikarma, from the Bhagavatam 5th Canto, chapter 5, text 4, that's teachings of Lord Rishabhdev. Such crazy men unnecessarily waste time, energy, and money in attempting to defy the glorious activities of Urukrama, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Om Agana, Timirandasya, Kananjana Shalakaya, Chaksuramilitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Sayarupa Karamaya Bhagati Swavadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Om Mahavranaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namani Gaura Trishema Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavani Shri Vishwanaam Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpa Tarubhishcha Kripa Sindhu Vyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Okay, so we got a nice narration here about all the universe and the demigods and all the different personalities and how they all simply bow down to the Supreme Lord in whatever form he appears. In this case, he appeared as a young Brahmin boy, just a Kumar, 5 years old. But still, they could all recognize his name is Trivikrama, that means 3 steps. He took the entire universe in 3 steps. That's not ordinary. 5-year-old boy can't do that. No one can do that. And just prayer we sing, Vandeham Shri Guru, that one really covers everything. Offer obeisance to Guru, and then all the Gurus, Shri Guru, and all the Vaishnavas. Vandeham Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha, Shri Rupam Sajajatam, the 6 Goswamis, then Shri Rupam Sajajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam, all the 6 Goswamis, and Sadvaitam, Lord Advaita Charya, Nityananda, Avaduta, Lord Chaitanya, Radha and Krishna, the gopis, getting the mercy of everyone. So this is our process, that we need to get the mercy of the previous acharyas and whoever we can, that it's coming down like that. It comes through the current guru through the devotees, any devotees that are representing the disciplic succession connects us with all that. Especially, of course, Prabhupada was especially empowered by and made his purports, which making all this available to everyone. Prabhupada's purports, they condense commentaries of so many previous acharyas who commented on the Bhagavatam. And then he gives us some reference to current events also to make us able to understand these things. Like this thing about the scientists trying to prove so many things. Here in Switzerland, it's on the border, I guess, right? They have that big scientific thing called CERN. You know about that? They built this so-called, they call it a particle accelerator or an atom smasher or something. And at the cost of so many 25 or 30 billion euros, who knows. The electric bill, I read, is supposed to be like 15 million euros a year. So their idea is that they're going to recreate the Big Bang, and then they'll be able to tell us where everything came from, how it started. So they're all excited. I don't know exactly, I don't study too much about it, but you see it in the headlines. When it first finally got open, it made a few headlines, had a few glitches, and they have fun, These scientists are just like children playing with their super toys. And then they just speculate, because all they see is a little flash of light or something, and then they speculate and try to tell us. So now I heard that they've learned a lot from this one, so now they have to build a more expensive, more far out, a little bit different kind of one to get more knowledge. Just like children crying for their father, that they see some advertisement on the television. I remember when I was a child, see some toy advertised and just go crazy to get it, And then when you get it, you play with it a little bit, and then it's not really that great as it looked on the television, It's just a piece of junk, and then you want something else. But somehow they managed to get somebody's money, your tax money, somebody's money, all of our money, and they can build these things. And ultimately they're trying to show that they can explain everything without God, but they've never been able to do it. They say they're going to find the smallest particle. And then by the telescopes they're going to find out the beginning of the universe or something. But they just speculate, we saw something, They're watching, and they see some flash of light somewhere, then they speculate that this is a planet that blew up, so many billions of years ago, and get more money. We just need more money, we need a bigger telescope, we need a bigger smasher, we need bigger computers. We'll find a cure for AIDS, and we just need a bigger supercomputer, then we'll figure it out. So they're just playing games. With their gigantic computers, they create viruses, and then they create medicine, and then they shoot, just like the kids in the game center, shooting things. Shooting an airplane or shooting this and blowing it up. And then they say it's worse than we thought, so we just need more money. I saw these scientists when I was in Nigeria. They have a big AIDS, problem there. So they finally started to take it seriously, and so one of our friends, he took me to the first meeting, AIDS prevention and cure or something. So the World Health Association has been given $9 million to the country for that purpose. So there were different people, all they were doing was trying to get the money, saying, well, my research, and they had one big scientist from America, he said, well, we made a lot of mistakes, but we're getting better now, we think we're on the right track to find out the cure, and he was showing a bunch of slides, and then there was one Christian person there, and he stood up and gave some quote from the Bible and said, this is all sinful reaction, and yeah, we know that, but just shut up, Then later a Muslim guy came with the same idea, the Quran, that, yeah, we know that, but we gotta get the money for our particular scientific group. I don't know whatever came of it. But anyway, the Bhagavatam is giving us everything. And Krishna is saying, you know, after he gives, this is in the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, how, you know, amongst fish I'm the shark, and amongst the stars I'm this, and, you know, amongst anything great that represents Krishna, because he's the greatest thing. It's not actually exactly him, but, you know, he's the sound and ether, he's the ability of man, he's the light of the sun and the moon. So Prabhupada said, you know, everyone's seeing God all the time, but they don't realize it. So then he says at the end, what's the use of all this detailed knowledge of the universe? Because with a single fragment of my, a spark of my splendor, I pervade everything. So even the most glorious, wonderful things, you know, like we have here in Switzerland, it's quite beautiful. Even I've seen hardly nothing but the mountains and the, you know, the forest, and you know, it's people come from all over the world, right, to see this. And then on other planets, there's much better waterfalls and much better trees and much more varieties of fruits and flowers that we don't see. Even like everybody goes to Bali, for instance. We have a few devotees from Bali here, but you're just completely bewildered by all the different fruit there. You know, you've never seen before, and it's just everywhere. You know, what's this one? What's that one? What's this one? It's all, you know, because they don't export most of it very much, and when they do, it's, you know, extremely costly. Stuff you buy there for 50 cents a kilo, you know, in Japan they sell 2 of them for $5. Tropical fruit, you know, foolish people buy it. But anyway, and all over the world, anywhere you go in the jungle, you'll find so many flowers, so many fruits, so many things that, you know, that are only in that place. So many herbs. They're worried about the Amazon because they're cutting down and ruining all the forest, and there's some, you know, what do they say, 80% of all the medicinal herbs in the world are there, and they're rushing in there trying to find a way to get them. But Krishna's creation, and you know, we just look at any small part of this planet, and people are completely bewildered. But what to speak of, you know, the higher planets, and then what to speak of other universes, and then what to speak of the spiritual. Whether, you know, that's unlimited. There's much more variety. The Mayavadis are saying the spiritual, everything is all one, and there's no variety. Because variety is the mother of enjoyment, we want variety. You know, we like a feast with many preparations, right? We like to see many different kinds of people. We like to go to different places. Variety. Not most, you know, and many people, their lives are miserable because they have no variety. They just go to work and do the exact same thing over and over again all day. And then they come home to the same television shows and the same food and the same family, and they can't afford to go anywhere. So they get depressed. But the variety is natural, but in the material world, the variety causes confusion and hankering and lamenting and everything, and desires. But in the spiritual world, it's just all for Krishna. When someone is thinking how to use everything for Krishna, then it all becomes very joyful. We're looking for more and more nice things to offer to Krishna. How to bring more and more devotees for Krishna's pleasure, how to offer Krishna much nicer fruits and vegetables, or ways to cook. You know, devotees that cooks are always trying to learn new preparations. You know, in the expert cooks, I remember when I was in Fiji the first time, the ladies there are really good cooks. Prabhupada commented when he was there, and Prabhupada was eating so much, and he'd been ill, and the servants kept, Prabhupada, you can't eat so much. He said, no, these ladies are such good cooks, just bring more, bring more. They would say, like, if you said, I can't eat today, and I'm not feeling well, what's wrong? And then they would cook something that was medicine, you know, but the types of spices they put in that would cure your headache or something. So, you know, every day, and I say, what is this? And it was the same vegetables every day, but I couldn't recognize. You know, it was the same potatoes and papaya or something, but the way they cooked it every day was, you know, cut it different, spice it different, you know, I never could see that it was the same thing. I went, what? It's the same thing again, you know. It was completely different. Even potatoes, you know, every day they could make potatoes and they just never think that, oh, here comes the potatoes again. You know? Variety makes you happy. So there's so much variety, and Krishna pervades all that, and it's all coming from Krishna. And devotees recognize that, even in the, like, to the materialist, we're chanting the same mantra all the time. So they're thinking, how can you just chant the same mantra? Don't you know any other songs? But that is unlimited variety because it's Krishna. So devotees get more and more pleasure the more they just chant the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this chapter, you know, it's a lot of things there. But the point is, no matter what happened, even the demigods, even Indra, you know, in such a high position, he can be kicked out and can't get his property back, you know. Then, but the difference of the demigods and the demons is the demigods take shelter. They take shelter of the Supreme Lord, and they actually become humble, and then he rescues them. Whereas the demons think they can do it on their own power, or by their own yajna, or their own tapasya. That's how they got there in the first place. But ultimately, when someone really depends on Krishna, then they can conquer all that. So we hopefully can take a lesson. We're in the demons are influencing everybody, you know, in the world, as far as how people are eating, how they're enjoying, you know, they're spreading. Yet when we drove somewhere the other day, I saw so many of these erotic clubs, you know. Erotic or erotic, however you say it in your language. You know, sex clubs, they call them in England, sex shops, table dancing, you know, everywhere you look, these nonsense things. But that's the demons, you know, they have people controlled that this is how you get pleasure. So much meat-eating places, so much whiskey, so, you know, everywhere in the world they're making all these things more and more available. The people are not necessarily demons, but they're being, you know, manipulated. The demons are controlling the media. So we need to propagate the truth and really take shelter of Krishna, then we can push back these things. And anyone who will come and take shelter of devotees and take up the chanting of the holy name, and then they'll get strength to give up the sinful activities and neglect the propaganda of the demons, so we can help everybody. Otherwise they're just crazy. Nunam pramata kurute vikarma. They just do bad karma and they're crazy. That's what is described. And wasting time and money, like I said, that thing, that particle accelerator, or they used to call it atom smasher or something, you know, wasting time. It took them so many years to build it, so much scientific thought, so much land is used up for it, you know, and then they say there's a shortage of food, but you can't farm anything and must make so much pollution, and then so much electricity. Electricity has to be generated by some kind of, you know, violent means of atomic or oil or coal or something, you know, whatever, however we get. And of course, we're using electricity a lot also, so we have to be careful to use it in Krishna's service. Use everything like that. It's the end of the chapter, there's 2 more verses, and I think we might as well finish it up because it's a summary. Ya idam deva devasya harer udbhuta karmana avataran nu ucharitam shinvan yati paramgatim. If one hears about the uncommon activities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in its various incarnations, he is certainly elevated to the higher planetary systems, or even brought back home, back to Godhead. Kriyamane karmani dam daive pitje ta nanusha yatra yatranu kirtayeta tatesham sukritam vidu. Whenever the activities of Vamadeva are described in the course of a ritualistic ceremony, whether the ceremony be performed to please the demigods, to please one's forefathers in Pitri-loka, or to celebrate a social event like a marriage, that ceremony should be understood to be extremely auspicious. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This is the last verse of the chapter. There are three kinds of ceremonies, specifically to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the demigods. Those performed as social celebrations like marriage and birthdays, and those meant to please the forefathers like the Shraddha ceremony. In all these ceremonies, large amounts of money are spent for various activities. But here it is suggested if along with this there is recitation of the wonderful activities of Vamadeva, certainly the ceremony will be carried out successfully and will be free of all discrepancies. Of course, that can be any kind of Krishna Katha. Just because this chapter is about Vamadeva, we stick on that, but it'll say that after any, incarnation, but any kind of Krishna Katha. Like devotees, we have our social events also. Generally, if we have a marriage, we get much more guests than any other function, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, everybody likes a marriage, the family and friends of the people getting married, even though they're not devotees, they like to come and see the wedding. Even Prabhupada, in the first time, he told the devotees, now you have to get married, they were all living together. And when they had weddings, everybody came, their parents came, their sisters, and that's how Jamuna came, because her sister got married, so she came all the way from the west coast of America to New York to the sister's wedding. Otherwise, she probably wouldn't have come. If the sister just had come and meet the Swami or something. But she came, and then she met the Swami and became one of our, best devotees and best cook, because she got the lessons directly from Prabhupada. So we do these marriages, birthdays, but with kirtan, with ideally some Krishna Katha, not always, but kirtan and prasadam, so it becomes okay. And Shraddha, so whatever social ceremony we do, is whether it's a marriage or a birth ceremony or a funeral, we chant the holy name, and then that makes it completely auspicious. If we're happy or sad, but the prescription is chant the holy name. If you're a sannyasi or a householder or whatever. So in Vedic culture, they have all these samskaras, so that your household life, gets some kind of spiritual, religious activities. Because household life, there's a lot of energy has to go just to maintain. But if there's a samskara, so then it has to get the priest, and you have to get all together for the first grain and for the haircut and for this one and that one as the child grows up. Then there's other festivals practically on the calendar. Every month there's some kind of festival and everybody's getting ready for it. And if it's a Vaishnava society, then there'll always be more kirtan, a special event to get everyone together to have more kirtan. That is our purpose. So that we end up finding that every day, everything is a celebration. Starting Mangal Artik means auspicious, so if we start the day with Mangal Artik, then the whole day will be auspicious. That's I think Mahavishnu Swami here, the old Mahavishnu Swami. Some years ago he had a very serious stroke. And so, one devotee, my friend in Singapore, is just one of his leading disciples. He rushed to London, to the hospital, because they said he's going to die any minute. And he was somehow sitting up and talking, but half paralyzed. And the doctor said, don't even think that he can live. There's no way. He can't possibly live more than another day or two, because of the nature of that stroke. So Mahavishnu Swami said, just put an altar here, have Mangal Artik every day, read Srimad Bhagavatam. And he wouldn't take any medicine. But he lived another 20 years or something. He gradually, recovered all his motor functions and traveled like quite intensely. And he was very not young at all. And he traveled, very wide and preached very strongly. And, he defied but he always stressed on that Mangal Artik. Right in the hospital, they had Mangal Artik every day, and the doctors have somehow tolerated it. Somehow they get overwhelmed by devotees, Like Jayapataka Maharaj, when the doctor also came out and said, he was, to be a little encouraging, he said 1% chance of living. That's what he told us in public, but then in private he told his doctor friends, there's no chance, absolutely no chance. And then he kept living, so then they gradually started to not say anything and just keep checking up. And they did a tremendous amount of medical. You have to admire them, they really did, took care, and they did everything that could possibly be done. But at first they thought, they just do that for so many people. And in that ward, almost every day someone died. The intensive care, it's basically that's all it is. But then he just kept, but they let so many devotees go in, and normally only one guest is supposed to go in, and only for a few minutes or something. And sometimes there'd be like 6 of us in there for a long time, reading Bhagavad Chaitanya Charitamrita. And one day that Jayapataka Maharaj was responding quite a bit to our presence, and the doctor came in, so I said, oh, now we have to go out because the doctor's here, And he said, no, you stay. Because he saw that he was getting enlivened, and then they started to realize that this was what was bringing him back to life. And then even when he wanted to travel, and everybody thought medically that's like really insane, the doctor who wasn't even a devotee said, no, this is this man's life, preaching. This is what keeps him alive, so let him go. Even though it's a 5-hour drive in the ambulance or something. But that's the soul, they don't understand. And the doctor had told us, and you can pray. He said, yeah, you can pray. Like, yeah, ho, ho, ho. And because everybody has somebody coming in praying, but he couldn't possibly calculate 10 or 20,000 devotees praying so intensely and doing so many, constant 24-hour kirtans and everything. So then, and Lord Nrsingadev's surgical expertise, it's way beyond theirs. But anything becomes auspicious, whether it's a panic, whether it's something that seems very bad happening, devotees chant the holy name, whether it's a joyful, because we think of birth, a new baby or a marriage is completely joyful, and a funeral is not joyful, but we do the same thing, we just chant the holy name. And hopefully we have Krishna Katha. Here it's stressing Vamandev, but every time everywhere in the Bhagavatam that we have the description of some incarnation and all those leelas, and this conclusion is like that. You can get whatever you want. If someone has material desires, they may get that fulfilled also, but that's not the point of it. The point is always, you can go back to Godhead if that's what you want. Or one can be elevated to heaven, but he can even go back to Godhead. That's what we want, and that's what we're shooting for, see. And that's automatic for one who sticks it out, one who just keeps, hearing about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, chanting the holy name and rendering whatever service we can. That's why Prabhupada has made so many temples, and devotees keep making more temples to give more people an opportunity to render service to the Lord and to hear the holy name. Yesterday we went for chanting there in Basel. Well, how do you say? Basel? Huh? Basel. I was thinking, Tulsi is basil, That's a scientific name for the plant. holy basil. There's different kinds of basil, and some of it you just buy for spice. It looks like Tulsi, but everything is bigger. The leaves are bigger, the manjaris are bigger, but Tulsi is specifically called holy basil. So I think now that became holy basil with the devotees chanting, even in the rain. The rain actually was an advantage because when we went under that arch place, all of a sudden when we got in there, the rain became really big. So many people came in there to take shelter. And then they all heard the kirtan and they were fascinated. And then that one Maharaji showed up that was a really expert dancer, a really highly trained Indian dancer, and it just blew everybody's mind. So they were totally absorbed in kirtan by the mercy of the rain. Otherwise we just walk by everybody, but because of the rain they got to stand and watch us for a long time and then listen to the holy name and see the ecstatic dancing of the devotees. And then that makes such an impression on their mind they'll never forget it. It's always going to be there, and they're going to, every time they're going to remember that. So anyway, you've heard about Vamadev, the dwarf incarnation of the Lord, but not exactly dwarf because he was just a young boy, but he didn't come to kill anyone, he just destroyed the pride of Bali and ended up benedicting him because Bali surrendered everything completely and joyfully to the Lord. Then he gave him a better situation. His planet, the Sutala, was more opulent and better than the heavenly planet, which he had usurped from Indra by war and all kinds of different things. And he could just live with all his family and everybody. There's more to the Putana, I don't know if you know Putana. You heard of Putana? She was in this Leela, she was a sister of Bali. So when Vamadev came and she was seeing this unbelievably beautiful child and was thinking, I'd like to have that child for my son. Naturally we think like that. If we see somebody really beautiful, we want to have for our child or our wife or husband or something. So then, but when he took away everything from Bali, it was her brother, so she's living, she took away everything from her also. Then she said, I want to kill him. So she had those two desires. So as Putana, she got to take the Lord as her child to nurse him, but also she was trying to kill him. But of course he ended up killing her. But then he benedicted her to have the position of a motherly position in the spiritual world. And that's an extreme example of the causeless mercy of the Lord, that even someone comes to try to kill him, give him a high position, and always because of many other reasons. But all these leelas in there, something we can hear again and again and again, they never get old. The sages at Naimisharanya said, tell us more and more, again and again. And Arjuna told Krishna also, tell me again and again. I never tire of hearing your glory. So we just keep hearing it, it gets better all the time. We keep chanting the same song, the same mantra, it just gets better and better and better. We do the same activities. In the spiritual world, no one ever thinks, oh, here we go again, oh, we did this before. It's always like the first time. That's how devotees are. It's always new and fresh, everything is like a child, You see them, everything is something new, they're fascinated by any little thing, because everything is new to them. So everything is fascinating. And that's how devotee is innocent in all the activities of serving Krishna. Is like a new life's experience every time. So thank you very much. Sorry I was late today, but sometimes this body becomes very heavy in old age. Doesn't want to move. So take care if you're young, take care of your health, you know, please. And we always exercise nicely, eat carefully, you know, get proper rest, and then we can, you know, go on staying, you know, quite together until we get very old and quietly leave, go back to guiding. Is there any question? Any question today? No? Thank you. Time for prasad, I suppose. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Vamadev ki jai, Zurek Bhaktivinoda ki jai, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai.